I know what you guys are going to say. CJ, you got Pat Liston in front of you and you're playing Elvis. I had a whole plan, okay? I had a whole plan, and it didn't come to fruition. But right now I got Pat Liston in front of me, 50 years in the music business. How did the show at Pageant go?
It was great. The Saturday sold out like in a day, you know.
Wow.
And the second one was only about 120 people shy of being sold out.
That's incredible. That's got to make you feel pretty good.
Absolutely.
And another thing you're doing is this weekend right here at Alton Little Theater.
I'm doing, this one's solo, except I will have Abigail Stolschmidt with me playing violin. This one is more of an intimate show where I do different songs and tell stories and stuff. And it's close to being sold out. So
really?
Yeah.
Better get tickets quick then. And that sounds cool with the violinist behind you, too. That's gonna be cool.
And Abby is just the best. I mean, she is, every time she comes, she brings it, you know. And, she's young. Well, hell, everybody's young compared to me. But she's just... she's a quick study. I mean, when she says she's going to learn something, she learns it.
Oh, that's got to be fun to work with. I mean, it really is. And by the way, guys, during commercial break, we were going to just talk about birds, I thought, this segment, because we were having the time of our life talking swans, geese, tractors, cranes, you name it, and automobiles. But this is really cool. I got to ask you, Pat, did you think that, after 50 years, this is where you'd end up in the music industry?
No. I had planned on being a lot bigger. But the thing is life is what it is, and we did 2 albums with Atlantic Records, and Ronnie Van Zant wanted to produce our 3rd album.
Wow.
And we did a concert with them, with Leonard Skinner, in, I think it was Springfield, Missouri, and talked about it was in July of 77, and talked about the new album. They were arguably the biggest group in the world at the time, and they had a winter tour coming, a worldwide winter tour that we were going to get, of course, because he was producing us. You know? So we would have gone off the chart, because if you play with a group that big and you're a good group, plus he'd have been pushing us to death.
The sky's the limit after that, right?
Exactly, and who knows what would have happened, and then sadly that October he was killed in a plane crash. But my brother was alcoholic, would probably be dead. He's been sober 38 years, so I mean, that's a blessing, and that's worth it right there. And that lifestyle, I would not have met my first wife, so I wouldn't have had my kids. I wouldn't have met my wife now, Dawn, who is, my soulmate, and I had my son, Thomas. I mean, there's so many things I wouldn't have that fame kind of pales by comparison.
Absolutely. It's all about how you get there, and sometimes you have to, things go your way, and it worked out pretty good with the family. And then to me, like you said, to have the sobriety there with your brother, that's the most important.
And he and I both still play. We're both still recording, and we don't make the money Springsteen does, but we make enough money to, we pay the bills, and life's good.
And I'll just be the smartass that says you don't have the DUIs that Springsteen has either. That's
there
true.
You go. And there you go.
Well, I got to ask you about some of the people that you played with and had the opportunity, early on. Who were some of the bands that you got to kind of work with and experience?
Well, in the beginning, even when we first did our first album, we did it at Criteria Studios in Miami. And the band house, which we didn't realize at the time till we got there, the band house was 461 Ocean Boulevard, which is the iconic album of Eric Clapton. And everybody thought that was his house. I'm like, dude, he wouldn't put his house on the front of an album, And it was a band house, but it was really, really nice. It was right on the beach, Wow. And, we had maids and chauffeurs, and we're just a bunch of guys from South St. Louis, so it was a mind-blower.
Right.
And when we're first in the studio, the Average White Band came in, because our producer was Arif Morden, who was probably of the top 5 producers of all time, Wow. So they stopped in to see him. Eric Clapton came in to see him and had Patty Boyd with him, which I think was a bigger thrill than meeting him. And the Bee Gees came in. It just got to be where like, oh my God,
Oh my goodness. I couldn't even imagine that.
And, then we played with a lot of Southern rock bands like Charlie Daniels and Marshall Tucker, Wet Willie, the Allman Brothers. In 70, and we played at a club with Bob Seger, before he was big. He was touring. He was playing with Bachman Turner Overdrive and was looking for a gig within Louisville that he could play to pick up extra money. And we were playing at this place called Beggar's Banquet, and the guy said, we want to bring this guy, Bob Seger, who I didn't even know who he was at the time, and play Saturday. And I got all huffy about it. He goes, no. He goes, we're going to pay you. He says, you do an opening slot, you'll make the same money. Well, then I thought, oh, okay. You know?
Right.
And they were great. Me and the bar owner and Seger played pinball till 4 a.m, you know.
Oh my
I mean, he was a super guy.
Who is one of the most, just off the cuff, was the most, do you think, talented musically out of all of them? Was there just one that could just pick up anything or just walk in off the street?
Individual or band?
Let's start with individual first. I think that'd be fun.
Wow. Individually, gosh. Well, Toy Caldwell with Marshall Tucker was an amazing guitar player. I don't know. That's a hard one because there's so many great ones out there. Charlie Daniels was an amazing guitar player, fiddler. I mean, he was underrated as a guitar player. He was actually an excellent guitar player.
Really?
You know?
See, I'd never really paid it because I hear the fiddle and I forget about the other stuff.
And that's, that was what he was known for.
Right.
He played really good guitar. I mean, they were. Marshall Tucker was an amazing band.
For bands, would it be Marshall Tucker or?
The best band I think that we ever worked with was Leonard Skinner.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
Now, it was later. I saw them once at Kiel Auditorium. I got backstage because this is our town, you know? But they were all drunk, you know. And we left, after about 5 songs. I said, this is a great Leonard Skinner, because our manager was their ex-manager, Alan Malden. And I left because I thought that they're terrible.
Oh, my.
So then a couple of years later, we played with them in Springfield. Well, Ronnie had pretty much quit drinking. And there was a rule, no drinking, no drugs, no nothing when day of the concert. And, oh, man. I mean, they were just, that's when Stevie Gaines was with them. That was when they had just done, that last one that they did.
Right.
And Street Survivors. And they were just unbelievably good. Unbelievably good.
That's incredible. I mean, to me, it's one of those where you're saying these names and I'm just going, do you ever look back and go, wow? I mean, I've really had a pretty good run of it.
I had Henry Paul from the Outlaws. We're really good friends and have been for years. And he still calls. And he called me one day. He's usually on the interstate when he calls. And I tell him, you're bored. That's why you're calling me. And but one day he was just waxing philosophical, and he said, have you ever thought, Pat, how lucky we are to do what we've done and meet the people we've met?
Right.
I said, oh, Henry, I think about it a lot, I mean, I worked with Richie Furay from Poco and from Buffalo Springfield, and just a super nice guy. We played together down at Wildwood Springs Lodge, and Michael Martin Murphy, and down at Wildwood, I played with Three Dog Night. And
yeah.
I mean, it just countless people. We played with Alice Cooper. Probably the biggest as far as just fame that we ever played with was Ringo Starr.
I heard he is just a musical genius too.
And he's a super, super nice guy.
Really?
He came into he's Ringo. I mean, that's that's like being, part of, if God was in 4, that's music, I mean, it's the Beatles.
Right.
And he walked in our dressing room and thanked us for doing a good job. Nobody's ever done that. They don't do that. And it's nothing against them. They just don't do it. He did. And it was just to hear him walk in, and he walked in, he says, hey, mama's boys, how you doing with that Liverpool accent? And we're like, oh my God, But it was, and then we played Kansas City with him. And I mean, on his show, he had Joe Walsh and Todd Rundgren, Timothy B. Schmidt, Dave Edmonds. I mean, just unbelievable people,
That's incredible. Was there anyone that you talked to early on in this career of yours that someone gave you like really good advice, or just one kind of motto that stuck with you, or was it kind of just take it as it comes?
Well, it wouldn't have been. I didn't listen to Bob Seger because he told me to get out of the business. He said at the time the live album hadn't come out yet, and he said, this is an awful business. Get out while you can. And I said, Bob, it's a little late for that. I don't really have a backup plan,
That's incredible.
I know. But there were people, I mean, early, even before Mama's Pride, before my 50 years technically, I lived in Los Angeles, and I worked with some of the Wrecking Crew, if you're familiar with who that is. They were iconic, famous studio players.
Wow.
That backed everybody, from Frank Sinatra to the Beach Boys. I mean, It was, Hal Blaine and Carol Kay and, different, all the Larry Carlton.
Wow.
These were names that were just, I was so honored to say that I did work with these guys,
That's incredible.
Yes.
Well, and then to transition a little bit, I was doing a little bit of research, and I did see that, you had your first your solo album come out in 2003?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did that kind of taper off a little bit different? Did you feel different writing this by yourself instead of being with a group?
Yeah, it was actually kind of fun because I did everything as far as all the steps that a record company usually does because I didn't have a record company.
Right.
But I walked through the artwork with talented friends who helped me. I went through the mixing process, the recording process, the producing process.
Wow.
I went to Kevin Nix mastered it in Memphis. I went down there and saw how that went, and how they did that. And I went and found out how you buy the CDs and how you do every aspect of it I did. So in that respect, it was really kind of cool that I got a feel for how all of it was done,
Wow. Well, and you become a master of your own craft that way, too, because you see all the ins
you
and outs.
absolutely do. You learn so much that, there was so much, I didn't even realize how much I didn't know until I learned. And I went, oh my God, I didn't know that. This is how it went,
It makes you, I always tell people this, because even in wrestling, you don't realize, because you set up the ring once or you set up the stuff for the TV show to come in, and you realize how hard it is for those, backstage people, the ones that are off the screen producing or mastering stuff. Same thing.
Yep, exactly the same thing.
It's just a different version of art. They have their own structure. Now, I got to ask you this. We have a couple of minutes left. You've got to have some pretty cool road stories or some wild ones early on. You got one or two good ones?
Well, we weren't like wild. We were fun. We were Greg Allman's backup band in 1978.
Oh.
And we had connected with him down in Florida and did about 20, 25 concerts with him. Our road manager, David Cloud, booked it. We had lights, we had sound, we had the whole band, we had road crew, everything. All Greg had to do was show up. And after the concerts, he loved that because we'd get together and we'd sing. He loved harmonizing.
Wow.
He didn't want to sing lead. He wanted to sing like an interior harmony. He wanted to be part of the group, because the Allman Brothers were not a, quote, vocal band.
Right.
And, but he told me when we got off the tour, he says, you guys are as good as anybody I've ever played with, and that includes the Allman Brothers, which was a really high praise. He said, but one thing I got to say, he said, you are the craziest SOBs I've ever met. He said, I have never had this much fun ever. I said, you're kidding. He goes, man, traveling with you guys was like traveling with a rock and roll Marx Brothers.
No, that's got to feel good in its own right
absolutely,
there.
Absolutely.
So take us through. We got about a minute left. Preview us, the Alton Little Theater show. What can we expect?
Yes, the Alton Little Theater. I'm going to be there Saturday. It's a solo thing. I'll be doing a lot of songs that I don't do even in my solo shows.
Wow.
I'll be previewing some songs. I'm going to have Abigail Stolschmidt with me playing violin, who is just amazing in and of herself. She's going to be doing about 6-7 songs with me.
Wow.
And which will be a joy. It's a small, intimate place. There's a few tickets left. It's sold really well. But I get to tell stories. People like stories. They like to know a backstory on the song or whatever, or like what we're doing now, this type of thing.
That's
people
so cool.
like that. So it'll be the opposite of the pageant was a big 10-piece band and everything, which is wonderful. That's cool. But this is like the other side of that. It's almost like the writing of the songs and how this happens and everything. So it'll be a cool show.
That really will be a cool show. And, of course, tickets, you guys can check out altonlittletheater.org, right, for those?
Right.
Pat, well, this has been fun. Thank you so much for stopping by and finding the studio. I should have probably given you better directions when I woke
actually,
up.
it did help. When I saw the bank vault, I went, oh, okay, I know where I'm at.
10:30 right here in the heart of the Riverbend. Coming up next, PGA golfer Brian Cooper on Our Daily Show.